Completely sovereign in Yerushalayim, and all of a sudden we were told that we can't walk. And all of a sudden we understood how important this walk is. How important it is to walk here.
This year, I'm very moved. We just started a walk, and I was just saying how sometimes you take things for granted, and you think, for years we said, okay, we've had that walk, and what's so special about it? And some people even started asking, why should we fast on Tisha BeAv? We have the state of Israel, we have Jerusalem, what's the point? And this year we got a terrible reminder that we haven't reached yet everything we need. We are not yet sovereign as we need to be in Yerushalayim and in Israel. The Arabs murdered 2 policemen. The Arabs butchered 3 members of the Salomon family. All of a sudden we couldn't go to Har HaBayit or to Yerushalayim without being attacked. And all of a sudden we realized there's still a lot to do. And therefore this walk this year, after the terrible 2 weeks of the last 2 weeks where our Jewish pride was trampled, this walk this year, walking around the old city in East Jerusalem, what is called East Jerusalem, after they told us that we can't walk there, it is very moving, and we finally understand how important this walk is and why it is so important. Because it is a famous verse, wherever you will walk, it will be yours. And the fact that they wouldn't allow us to walk would have meant that it is not ours. And thank God we're going to walk now with hundreds and if not thousands of Jews to say Jerusalem is ours. We're raising the flag, and Am Yisrael Chai.
Completely sovereign in Yerushalayim, and all of a sudden we were told that we can't walk.
I took a trip today on a helicopter to the north, and I could track the route of the greatest rabbis and sages that lived during the time of the Second Temple destruction, as they were chased like fugitives by the Romans. And they had to live in caves, and they had to live under trees, and they had to hide from being caught and from being massacred in the time of the Second Temple destruction. And here we are, 2,000 years later, and we are still crying and yearning and remembering and continuing to build. So the message is very, very clear. We don't forget. We know we have to complete our mission. We know that the Beit HaMikdash will be good for everybody. Okay, it will be good for the economics of Jerusalem, the economics of Israel, the economics of the region. It will be good for the spiritual health and well-being of people. It will ultimately represent the final peace solution, and that's how we will celebrate the final redemption, and it will be with the crowning of the Beit HaMikdash.
Walk that you walk on it is yours, it says, and by walking we are going.
Well, it's very clear. What happened in the last few months is just another event that has been happening consistently, sometimes worse, sometimes better, sometimes with less violence, sometimes with more violence, an attitude that tries to undermine the sovereignty of the Jews in our Holy Land. Being here for Tisha B'Av, the whole process becomes more real, becomes more tangible. You kind of see the rocks. If you go to the southern wall, you actually see the rocks as they smashed into the ground. And you're able to vicariously put yourself back into that experience. And on the second hand, we pray in our prayers, and we say clearly, that these days should be transformed to days of joy and jubilation. And underlying the sadness, you have a sense of light and hope and peacefulness. When you take a look at the difference in the gatherings of those who try to eradicate us, our enemies, and the Jewish people, there's a certain sense of serenity, of holiness, of peacefulness, of something that has meaning and purpose. There's no call for bloodthirstiness. It's an indication of who the Jewish people are. And sometimes when you're not here in Israel and you look at what happens here, you make judgments through the eyes of people who really don't feel it and don't understand it. But walking through the streets and seeing the absolute aliveness and vitality that exists here, together with the destruction that we can never forget, and together with the fact that even today we are in a certain place of difficulty. In our community particularly, it does just the opposite. They want to come to Israel and to indicate that we don't have any fears. Just for information's sake, in the city of Chicago, which is one of the biggest cities in America, the city where the former president came from, more people were murdered this year than in the last 10 years in Israel. So you know that that's foolishness that people try to put in the attitude of others that has no basis on reality. I walk through the streets here in the day and night, and I feel like it's home. It's my place. And to have any other kind of feeling is to submit to weakness and to give them the strength.
And Rabbi, this is the message that you bring from here today to all over the world?
The message that I tell you is, this is the safest place in the whole world. It's the most beautiful place in the whole world. It's the most alive place in the whole world. It's a place that is close to God, and you walk in the street, and as the Talmud says, that the air of Israel makes you wise, the air here breathes purer, holier, and better. That's the message that I give to all my friends around the whole world.
We understood how important this walk is, how important it is to walk here. And that is what we're doing. Every place that we will